Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Developing the Leader Within. I'm Enrique, and I have with me once again, right? She was with us back in July. We were discussing leadership and customer service, and she did such a great job. We want her back. And so today we have Waheebah Leonard with us again from South Africa, except that today we're going to be talking about leadership and excellence. But before we get into all the good things, Wahiba, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing since July.
Hey, firstly, thank you for having me back. I'm pretty excited. It doesn't feel like it's been 5 months, eh? It feels like it's been quite longer, to be honest, and I think it's because of the pandemic that we've been in. But it's been a good 5 months. It has been challenging, but I think it was such a great 5 months since the last that we spoke. um, we as the leader and as an individual, this pandemic got to stretch me so much on so many levels, which I appreciate. There's a lot that took place that's probably still taking place in all our worlds, but I think that if one thing this pandemic has taught me is really the importance of leadership, because during this pandemic time, that was such a vital thing that had to be in place and aligned, to make sure that we could still drive people through them going through their fearful situations and uncharted waters, um, to get them to still be 5, 6, 7 months later, still kind of like positive and, wanting to fight this battle with us. Yeah, so it's been a rocky 5 months, but it's also been an excellent 5 months.
Yes, I agree. Your episode before was 27. Now we're at 45,
Wow.
and every week we've grown. We've matured. We've learned some things that has allowed us to develop as leaders. And so, the best thing about this whole scenario is that we've been able to take some time to develop ourselves, to take some time to think a little more than we used to about things. And so I welcome you back. I'm so excited to cover this subject because it really is what we're after as leaders, how to become excellent at what we do, whatever
Yes.
that may be. And so, we'll get right in it because I want to be cautious of your time. But what would you say in terms of excellence, that what excellence looks like in a leader?
Yeah, I love the topic that you selected. I think it's very relevant, especially to what we've been through and still going through in our worldwide. I think the question is, what is excellence first? And when we look at what excellence is, it basically speaks about the quality or of being outstanding or being extremely good at something. So as a leader, what does excellence look like in a leader role? For me, it would speak to certain of my character traits. It would speak for me like I should have passion. Originality is something huge. You need to be original. Be you. People buy into you. If you're original, just be yourself. That is good enough for people to buy into you and see who the real you are. You also have to have empathy, especially during this time, not only because we're in a pandemic, and that is what it's part of what a trait a leader will make a leader behave or have that attributes of excellence, because you need to have empathy and compassion. If you don't have that, it does break down a relationship. And if relationships is broken down, the knock-on effect of that would naturally be that there is a gap that is not closed, and it impacts production at some point or the other. So having empathy and compassion towards other employees or colleagues that is struggling, it really, really goes a long way if you're always willing to lend a helping hand. You might not remove everyone's situations, but something, just an ear to listen. It's absolutely good enough for that person to just get back to where they need to be productive for that day. Another thing for me is you need to have emotional intelligence. As a leader, we deal with a lot of emotions. We deal with so many people with various personalities, and like I said, various situations that might be troublesome. And you need to have emotional intelligence. If you don't have it, you need to know how to channel, what to take out of a conversation, and what not to. um, if you don't do that, you might also end up not getting the results that you actually want to see. So you need to have the ability to work in a team. If you're able to work in a team and for the team, then that on its own will kind of like show that, you know what, because if you don't have emotional intelligence, you will react to everything and you will not really unpack. It's kind of like know which battle to fight and understand the other person's view and try to understand it. um, this is something that I'm very big on, and that is love. Like, you in a workplace as a leader, you have to have love, you have to have a sense of community. I always say work is a home away from home. When I get to work, I'm like, I'm more at this building than when I am in my home, and it's the reality, it is the truth. Hours that I'm awake is spent more at my workplace. So my work environment, my work colleagues, that is my community. And it's what love do I share and spread in my community, which is important because that sets the tone. That creates a platform of unity. I also say that you need to have a vision. It's so important to be proactive in your decision making because you're a leader. Things come up. You need to be proactive. You need to have a vision, and you need to be able to share that vision. You need to lead with excellence. You have to anticipate things before they happen. And the reason for that is so that you can actually put the necessary steps in place to ensure that you will still have a positive outcome. So, yeah, I think that is some of the highlights for me that stand out for me as an individual as to what excellence in my world looks like.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, and I love the compilation of all those attributes. And hey, if you're a leader and you heard something in that, and you say, "Oh man, I'm still working on it," keep working on it because excellence is never achieved, right? It's
Mm,
always a goal, something that you
yes,
aspire to. So, if somebody tells you, "Hey, you get to this one point, and then there's no more," I don't know what journey they were on, but I'll tell you that there is still some more. So keep going. Um, and
absolutely.
and and obviously, with all those that great list of attributes that make an excellent leader, or a leader that displays excellence, there are undoubtedly some things that kill the excellence
Yes,
in some leaders, right? And so I like
yes.
to highlight some of that too because there's struggles, and the struggles are there because people don't really pinpoint these things that kill excellence in a leader. What would you say some of those things are?
There's two, Enric, that stands out for me a lot. And the first one I would say is ego. Many times we'll find that a lot of leaders have egos, and not realizing that that is actually a killer of excellence. Um, if you have ego, what it does, it put barriers between yourself and the other colleagues or the people that works with you. And that in itself is a problem. That in itself prevents you from, as a leader, to achieve your goal, to to get people to buy into your vision that you share with them, because your ego is so big. It's all about, all you're saying is me, I, and people is like, okay, so why am I here? Because it's all about her, you know and when people get caught up in the egos, it also erodes the effectiveness. I think another one for me is also independence. I think that kind of like speak to one another. Because if you have a big ego, you also want to be, I'm the independent leader. I don't know. I do my thing. I want it done, and I'm the only one that knows how to get it done properly. And that you're taking away from your employees' strengths. You're taking away from them the ability to learn, to grow, to show you actually what they can really provide and how they want to contribute to the success of the organization. So, working independently, it will never work, because for any organization to be successful, it's a collaboration, and we all have our own strengths and our own skills, and that together will get us to our end goal and will get us closer to achieving our goal and to reach our vision and make it our reality. And I think that, in my experience previously, that there is a lot where ego is standing in the way, independence. And when you speak of independence, sometimes you get leaders that will just say, but I prefer to do it myself. Okay, then why do you have someone employed in that role if you prefer to do it yourself? And that for me, it's really killers.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I think about humility and interdependence, one of those attributes that go with fostering an environment where you're actually giving people room to grow, right? Because when you as a leader show that you need them, they gain value from that. They
Absolutely.
know that you're not at it alone, that this is actually a team. And so I
Mhm.
love how you highlight those two areas, because indeed that will kill your leadership, if anything, real quick. Yeah, it's definitely something that there's a lot of people that are challenged with that, and so they should get some insight in that. So let's talk about what you do, and how do you ensure that you provide excellence. We talked about the good things. We talked a little bit about the things that make us challenge. What do you implement on your day to day to provide excellence?
So for me, it's the basic. I always say, like everything has a foundation and everything has a basic. And once your foundation is set, and there's some stuff, it's like leadership. There's just some stuff that you cannot alter about it. We all have different leadership styles. But there's that foundation that if one of that is missing, you're building on a house that will collapse pretty soon. So for me as a leader, genuinely, I love to inspire. I feel that I need to lead by example. So guess what? If we're working until 9 o'clock, we're all working till 9 o'clock, including myself. I do not exclude myself. We in this together. I think that it's very, and through that, by doing that, I inspire the people around me, because for them it's like, and they would ask me, when are you going home? Because in their minds, I'm the leader, I can leave, I don't have to stay late. But I don't. I stay with them. um, I think that it's also very major for me to just operate in integrity. That is something that I think that's probably a lot of times easily said and very loosely used. And doing it practically, it's a small word with such a massive amount of value in it. Because as leaders you will be faced with challenges that will challenge your integrity. You will be faced with defending even your organization's integrity. And that is what I'm saying. It's actually a small word, but it's got such a huge magnitude and meaning towards it. And the value of it, I think I think it's one of the, it's probably, if we look at values of organizations, I think everyone will have integrity. You know, the other values will probably be what it stands for, but that's the one core thing that we will all have. And that is why, that is one thing that as leaders we should have that. We, it's something that needs to be within us already, you know. Um, I also say that it's important for us to stay consistent, in the way we're operating. We need to have a set guiding principles. And the only reason for that is we are faced with various challenges. And if you do not operate according to your set guiding principles, which you never compromise on, because that will at the end of the day determine whether you operate with integrity or not, because you will be measured based on that. um, and as a leader, you also need to be focused on results. We are for people, we love our people, we can do what we need to do, but you in a leadership role for a purpose, and the organization needs to achieve whatever the goal is. So I think that even your peers and people reporting into you, that as a leader, they want to see that part of you. They want to see that as much as you're expecting them to be focused on them delivering on their deliverables and producing results, they want to see that you're also owning it, that you at the same time also focusing on that. And it's not just a one-sided thing, you know. So I think that for me is kind of like stuff that I do in my daily day for me to ensure that I deliver excellence. Um, One, my people would be first on hand, and that is why I would lead by example. I would inspire as often as what I can. I would be strategic, because you have to be strategic. I would come in the day and I will already have my plan, which I will do after our session now for tomorrow, because you need to have a plan. People look to you. What did we do today? What went wrong yesterday? What can we do better? What didn't we finish that has to be finished? So it's important for me to come home and plan and say, what is tomorrow holding? What does it look like tomorrow? What was the challenges, and can I come up with a plan to eradicate it or mitigate it? And then in my daily life, just operate with integrity. In everything you do, say, be of principles and just operate in integrity and focus on the results, because we need results as well at the end of the day.
Outstanding. When you was talking, I was envisioning the last place that I was working at. And everybody has a set of a list of words that they say, oh, this is our values, and these are our mission statements, and
Yes.
but they are just as good as the paper they're written on if they're not followed. And so if you see a set of words that are the things that guide your company or your organization, and leadership is acting against those words, they lose value. So I remember talking to an individual that wanted to institute this very thing, right? And I
Mm,
said, well, what's wrong with the company? And you've been at this for a while. What's wrong with it that you feel you need now, after so long, to put
yes.
these things out? And he couldn't answer. And I said, well, then you don't need them. Your
Mm,
people are executing without something written what you already desire. So why put another tax on them? It's already working. But
yes.
then I've seen in other companies that I've gone, and immediately right from the very top, I've seen things go against things that they were written right from the beginning. So, folks, I mean, you have to, and I think you just said it very well. It has to start with you. The excellence you want to see has to be shined out first from you. We don't call day without the sun shining, right? The sun
Yes.
has to shine that light out first before we can ever
Absolutely.
recognize it as day and say, hey, that's day. So let's take the example of the sun and
I
put it
love
into
that
practice
analysis. Yeah,
because it has to emanate from us first in order for it to be a thing. So I love that that you take it from you first and then you push it out. So let's get into us helping somebody else because if right now if they haven't if somebody listening has not gotten something out of I don't know how much more you can give because you're giving out so much, but there's always something, right? So what can
absolutely.
leaders do if they are struggling with excellence?
I think that we as leaders we need to understand and that leadership is a privilege, that is given to us. So sometimes it's leadership it's a title that can be taken for granted, and we actually forget within that. And again, it goes back to what I was saying when we speak about the ego, and when we make a reference to um, the work not being too independent, um, and that will take away your excellence. So we need to understand what is our roles as leaders. How does this impact the bigger picture, and once we understand what our roles is as leaders, it will make it easier. Also, you need to if you're struggling to become a leader, it's identify, like sometimes we need to have that self conversation with self, and we need to kind of like ask us and be real honest and truthful to ourselves and say, what is it that I'm lacking? I think the best way would be to first establish what is it that I can do better. And the only way to get that is to actually allow those, the platform, to give you that feedback, because we sometimes don't know what it is that we're lacking, as we sometimes are not really aware of how certain behaviors um, impact other people. And that triggers of how they respond within the work environment. So I would say, like, first establish what is it that you have to focus on. um, is it that one you need to fix or smile more because people see you closed off and they're not sure if they can greet you or not? You need to know that, because then you can work on it. um, I think that as a leader, if you don't have any of these attributes where you are a people's person, because there is a lot of leaders that really don't have the people side. I mean, I'm a natural speaker that just loves speaking. I'm a natural person that just loves talking to people. So when I'm at my workplace, I'm a leader, but I also get down to that level because that is where I love it, because that is where it actually is fun, and I learned so much because the observation is there. If you're in touch with the people, you will know. You can see, because as leaders, we have an eye to see certain things, and we get to analyze things a bit more critically. And we can pick up on a lot of things and spend more time with the people, through that you will, through engaging with them, you will pick up and you will learn what is the gaps, and you can utilize that strategically to try and close that gap and to mitigate the impact of it. um, and just be open, be open to feedback. Don't perceive feedback, negative feedback, as a personal attack. I think in a work environment as leaders, that could be also one of the killers, if one can say so, for lack of words, um, because we might perceive someone else's feedback as them being judgmental or a personal attack, and it's not. It's actually something that we have to do, that we need to do, work on. It's a development area that we have within ourselves. um, and that is where the emotional intelligence come in, so I would really advise someone that is struggling with leadership excellence to, one, be open. Be open to feedback. Don't take it personal. We actually need to ask for constant feedback. If we don't, then we are actually thinking that we have nothing to worry about. That on its own is something to worry about. Actually, you know, feedback is so important. Just get feedback. Secondly, your relationships is so important. Make time. As leaders, our days are planned ahead. We already have meetings in our calendars for next week and next week. But we need to make time. If we will not understand the impact of just a 5 or 10 minutes that you spend with your people to just have a normal conversation with them. Because in that 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to learn something that is so critical that you would not have known had you not had that conversation with him. And also, I would say you really need to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I doing everything that I can? Am I standing, or am I or am I acting out? Because we can understand what it is, how to behave, and what makes us excellent leaders, and what characteristics and attributes and values to have. Are we living it out? Are we walking it? Are we talking it? Um, and like you said earlier, and I loved what you said, that, as leaders, we evolve all the time. We are just learning every day. As a leader, you learn. And I think that we learn so much from the ones that is actually below us. They are actually like our walking, talking, um, a guideline, because that is where all the information is, and that is where we want it. It doesn't get any better than that. So yeah, I think that would be my advice on trying to excel and get into excellent leadership.
Yes, excellent advice. And I tell you that your last statement there about when we learn from those that are in our care, right? I listened to my son the other day. He's 9 years old, but he sounds so grown. And he was eloquently stating a fact. And I looked at him and I said, wow, did you come up with that on your own? He said, yeah. I said, I'm proud of you. Wow, because you see your impact, right? He came up with the thought on his own, but his mom, she is teaching him. And
Yeah.
so, I saw the fruit of her labor right in front of me, and it makes you proud when you see those that are working in your teams doing doing the work, right? They're out there grinding and doing all the
Oh,
work, and when you see
absolutely,
that,
eh?
it just warms your heart. You look at them and you're so proud of all because they had to do something to get there. You could give them all you want, but if they don't take it and do something with it, then it goes to waste. But when you see them actually doing something with what you taught them, and see them growing and then smiles and just happy, it just
Best
warms the
ever.
leadership. Yep, leadership heart, I tell you. So I love this conversation. I wanted to you know strategically and my year with two topics, and excellence is one of them. Next week we'll be covering burnout, but I
Wow.
wanted to specifically end with these two topics because they're the pinnacle of what we can face as a leader. We can either face times of excellence that our people are thriving, our organizations are thriving because of our leadership, uh, or we get to the point where we burn out and we crash. And you had
Yes.
mentioned, the word leadership earlier, and in my head I saw a vessel. As soon as you
Yeah.
said it, I saw a vessel. And our because you was talking about, hey, this is not a right, this is a privilege. And so
Yes.
when we're given the vessel, the leadership, right? um
Mm.
we could either run it aground, or we can sail the high seas and see the world, right? So there's two options there when you're given the leadership. And so I thought of that, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. That if you could see it that way, it'll make it a whole lot easier. And ask yourself the question: am I running my ship, my vessel, to the ground, or am I sailing the high seas and enjoying the world? So, Waiba,
I
thank
love
you
that.
so much. Thank you so much for all that you've shared with us, being so kind with your time. And I wish you so much success. I saw
Thank
you
you.
in July. I'm seeing you now. I see you still, with the shine, the happiness, the joy in your life, and I'm so happy to see that, given the situation around the world. So I ask you to keep us in prayer, as we
Yes.
continue to fight the good fight. But I wish you all success,
Thank
and
you.
and thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. It's really been a great honor. I wish you also all the best. I know that it's going to just be a massive 2021. I'm looking forward to more of this. There's going to be some exciting topics that we can cover in 2021.
Yeah, I have mentioned earlier on LinkedIn, that my 2021 schedule is already booked.
Yeah,
So people are looking forward to speaking about leadership and the things that are to the heart of leaders.
yeah.
And so I thank you for being part of the 2020 family, discussing leadership with us, and you actually the only one that's come back twice. So
Woo,
so
it's been
so thank
amazing.
you. Thank you so much. Hey, for everybody out there, and for folks that would like to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
I'm only on LinkedIn, so they can check me out on my LinkedIn page. Yeah.
All right. So we'll make sure that that link is part of the video and part of the comments. But once again, Waiva, thank you so much for your time, and for everybody out there listening. I hope that this last year has been enriching to you. I mentioned, right, this is episode 45. We only got 46 in this year.
Wow.
But go back and listen to those and see if you can get some good n- uh, points to grow in and to grow up from. But as I always like to end this episode, success to you.
Amen. And so thanks to you. Thanks for another awesome one.